Okay, so this video is for those of you who are just starting out on ukulele and you want maybe a little direction. I'm just going to tell you about chords and strumming patterns that I think are maybe the most important you should learn first. So the very first chord that every ukulele player should learn is a C. It's a C major. And it looks like this. On the string closest to the ground, this is your A string. I'm going to put my ring finger, my third finger, here at the bottom. And I'm just going to press, not super hard, just hard enough to hold the string against the fretboard. And then with my thumb on my strumming hand, I'm right-handed, but not everybody is. So whichever hand you use to strum, I'm going to use my thumb to strum, drag down through all 4 strings. And I'm going to do it, so here's the sound hole, and I'm going to do it a little above the sound hole, kind of where the fretboard meets the body. You could strum with your thumb and use like the fleshy part of your thumb, and it gets kind of a nice mellow sound. You can use your index finger, and you're strumming down kind of on the nail of your index finger, kind of on the inside corner, the corner closer to your middle finger. That's kind of where I strum. And my wrist is relaxed. I'm kind of letting my shoulder and my elbow help me pump up and down. I'm just strumming down. And again, the C chord looks like this. It's just use your ring finger. There's a reason for this. I think it makes it easier to switch to other chords if you use your third finger here on the 3rd fret. Okay, so that's a C chord. The next chord you should learn is an A minor. And A minor is another 1-finger chord. I'm going to take the middle finger of my fretting hand, and I'm going to put it on the 2nd fret of the G, the high G string. That's the one that's closest up to me. I think of that as like the 4th string or the G. And all I need is just that finger, my middle finger on the 2nd fret there. And again, I'm going to strum down through all 4 strings. And then the next chord is the F major. And the F major chord uses 2 fingers. The nice thing is if you're already playing an A minor with your middle finger there at the 2nd fret, you just add a finger. I'm going to put my pointer finger on the 2nd fret of the E string. So it's the string 2nd to the bottom. And you'll see there's a gap. So I've got middle finger here on the G string. There's a gap here. I'm going to let the C string ring out open, and my pointer finger is going to go here on the 1st fret of the E string. So 2 fingers. And something important is notice that my middle finger is not touching the string beneath it. If it was, it would kind of kill that string. It would kind of deaden it. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to keep this knuckle kind of popped up and active so that I'm right on the tips of my fingers. You can even see the indentation on my fingers where that's happening. So I'm trying not to touch the strings that I'm not actively fretting. And that's giving me like a pretty good tone. And another thing is I don't want to actually press on the metal, because that's kind of another way to keep the string from vibrating efficiently. I'm right next to it, but I'm not on top of it. It might look like I'm on top of it, but I'm actually just before it. And so I'm creating a really good kind of pressure on the string that's letting it vibrate efficiently and giving me a good tone. So again, so far we have C and A minor and F. And if you use your ring finger and your middle finger and your middle and pointer finger, those flow together really nicely. Because my hand is kind of shaped that way anyway. I'm kind of working with sort of the natural formation of my hand, so I don't have to play my C chord like this and then jump over like this and then, and try to jump 2 fingers over or something like that. I'm kind of letting it all happen in the way that my hand is relaxed and unfolded. So we've got those 3 chords, C, A minor, and F. The next chord is G. And to my mind's eye, it's like a little triangle. It's a little triangle shape when I think about where I have to press on the fretboard. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put my pointer finger on the 2nd fret of the C string. I'm going to put my middle finger, I'm going to skip a string, I'm going to put my middle finger on the 2nd fret of the A string. So I've got the C string 2nd fret, skipping a string, and then the A string 2nd fret. And then with my ring finger, I'm going to come up and grab the 3rd fret of the E string. So I've got kind of 3 points of a triangle, here, here, and here. This one takes some practice, but it's totally worth it because you're going to use it a lot. That's a G major chord. The other kind of G that you'll probably use a lot as you start playing ukulele, because it's in a lot of songs, is the G7. And it's another triangle shape. It's basically this, but flipped over, so that if this is one of the points of the triangle, I'm going to put that point over here. So when I play a G7, I put my pointer finger on the first fret of the E string, and then my middle finger on the second fret of the C string, and then my ring finger on the second fret of the A string. And that's a G7. Seventh chords are really useful. The best way I can describe them in sort of like a general way is they're kind of twangy sounding. So as you're learning these chords, you know, there's pieces to their names. When you learn a C chord, you're not just learning a C chord, you're learning a C major chord. It's like the quality of the chord. Or you can think of it as the flavor of the chord. Your chord has its name and it has its flavor or its quality. So like you could have a C major, or a C minor, or a C7. Major chords sound kind of happy. C, it's kind of happy. And then there's a C minor. C, it's kind of sad. And then there's a C7. C, it's kind of twangy. And you'll hear seventh chords a lot in like jazz and blues and rock and anything that can benefit from like a twangy kind of sound. So anyway, that's kind of a digression, but the more chords you learn, the more questions you might have. So I was really excited to learn that, like about the chord flavors, because they kind of affect you emotionally when you're playing them. Major chords, super happy sounding. Minor chords, kind of sad. Seventh chords, kind of twangy. It's kind of a simple way to think about it. So anyway, so these chords for beginners that are really important, again, C major, A minor, F major, G7, or G major, G7, G major. And if you want to practice maybe some chord choreography, kind of practicing getting your fingers working together, this chord progression, C, A minor, F, G7, is a really good one because the chords fall in a really natural way. So if you can master this, it'll be easier to play a lot of songs and to play smoothly. So practice doing this. C with your ring finger, A minor with your middle finger, add your pointer finger for F, and then when you go to the G7 from F, your pointer finger is already in the right spot, so you can kind of use it as a hinge. You lift up your middle finger, but leave your pointer finger where it is, and then kind of rotate your wrist a little bit so that you can land on the second fret of the C string and the second fret of the A string. So again, watch my hand as I do that. Ring finger, middle finger, add the pointer finger, and then pivot on the pointer finger. And I find that to be really helpful. Let me do that one more time. C, A minor, F, G7, and then I'll end on C. And that sequence is really useful, especially as you're practicing like chord progressions and strumming patterns. Useful. So have fun practicing.